Hello guys, this is your friend Naruto Audio Fanfics and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is what if Naruto loved Sakura, and Hinata became obsessed enough to break them Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. Today was just another in Konoha where the sun shone brightly over the village. The villagers were bustling with their activities, and ninjas were coming and leaving the village as they went for missions. On the main street of the village a certain blue-haired and lavender-eyed girl was walking and skipping for once in a while with a happy expression. No signs of nervousness or stuttering, on her face and her hand laced on her back. Those who had known for a long time will found her behavior for now will found it really unusual and unnerving even. Today is the day. I will tell him how much I loved him. I will make you mine. That was the thought running inside of Hyuga Hinata's head. The feelings that she kept bottled for years toward a certain boy named Uzumaki Naruto were now overwhelmed her. When he had returned from his 2.5 years of training with Jiraiya, he had become a handsome young man from a cute boy she had fallen with. Just imagining him right now with his foxy grin etched in his face made her body extremely heated. She already lost the count on how many of her bed sheets she had to destroy and her toys she had to hide away to keep her image as a demure girl. Where she will put her face if someone caught her while pleasuring herself with the images of Naruto doing X-rated things to her. Thought so. But it didn't mean that her plans will go smoothly because there were hindrances in her conquest of love. 1. They hardly meet with each other because of the missions. 2. A pink-haired bitch, to her anyway, named Haruno Sakura. Just thinking about her made her blood boil and she wanted to demolish something with her juken. Back then when that asshole and presumably gay of a duck butt was here, that skank belittled, mocked, beaten up her poor Naruto-kun. Now that he was gone and her Naruto-kun returned from his training trip, she became closer and nicer to her Naruto-kun. How dare she use her Naruto-kun as a tool to get that bastard back? That whore thought she can discard her Naruto-kun like a useless scrap. Not on her watch. I will show to you, Naruto-kun, I will show you how much I loved you. And then you will realize that you've been used by that bitch all along. Stealing her already diamond-hard resolve, she strode forward on the ground road of Konoha. Sadly, she even never ever realized that she was going yandere. The Hyuga heiress was looking around for her Naruto-kun on his usual hanging around spots, like the Ichiraku Ramen stood, the training grounds, or even his private spot on the top of Yondaimi's head on the Hokage Monument Mountain. That was weird. She usually could tell where her Naruto-kun was as she knew every place possible he used to spend his time or even when he was out for missions with her Naruto sense, which was very creepy if anyone ever learned about it, but she ignored that. Shaking her head, she kept on looking for her blonde object of affection. Obsession, for next several hours until suddenly her Naruto sense were tingling, albeit weakly, and telling her where her Naruto-kun is. Wait for me, my Naruto-kun. With that completely out of character yell, Hinata left in the speed that even Guy or Lee would be proud of and left them ranting about youth while casting that horribly awful unbreakable genjutsu. She then arrived at the heart of Konoha and hid herself behind a pole like a good lover she was once. She briefly spotted that mop of blonde hair and the color of orange from his jumpsuit. She then looked at her object of affection, obsession, and her smile disappeared into a look of utter shock. There was Naruto and Sakura, walking together hand in hand, with the pink-haired girl was leaning her head in his left shoulder, and they both have the happiest and the most content look on their faces. What the hell? The look of utter shock in her face was so priceless. She could swear that her jaw would hit the ground as Sakura turned to Naruto and planted a light kiss on his whiskered cheek. Naruto looked at Sakura, whom was smiling a little. What was that for, Sakura-chan? For giving me a beautiful date like that, Naruto-kun. Hey, don't forget that our date isn't finished yet, remember? Let's get something to eat before we continued our date and I promise it won't be ramen, Naruto said with a chuckle. Sakura giggled happily as she snuggled closer to Naruto, much to his broadening smile as they walked away to somewhere, leaving Hinata shell-shocked behind the pole where she was hiding all the time. The brunette's head was full of question. What the hell was that? Since when that bitch and her Naruto-kun started to dating? Why in the name of Kyuubi's furry nine tails she didn't know or even heard about this? With that in mind, Hinata tracked to the biggest source of information in Konoha, aka the Gossip Queen, aka Yamanaka Ino. Ino was bored out of her mind. She didn't have any mission today and no one had visited her family flower shop. So here she was, sitting in the cashier counter while reading a magazine she bought yesterday. The chiming sound in the front door alerted her for a customer had entered her family flower shop. Welcome to the Ya, Hinata. What are you doing here? She greeted before abruptly stopped as she recognized the familiar face of the Hyuga heiress. Hello, Aino-san. Am I interrupting you? Hinata greeted as she used her usual shy stuttering girl persona in public. Of course not, I was bored anyway. Take a seat, Hinata, the blonde girl said as she thought to herself. What does she want? I wonder. Well, I saw Naruto-kun and SS Sakura-san were walking TT together, hand in hand. I also heard the word, date. What does that mean? She asked, not realizing she was slipping from her usual outer personality to her more secret personality, the extremely obsessive girl to her crush. Ino raised her eyebrow on the heiress' question and noticed her personality slip. That is surprising to be heard from Naruto's #1 stalker. And what's with that personality slip? You mean you don't know? Naruto and Sakura are already dating for 2 months now. There was silence in Yamanaka residence until. What the freaking hell? Ino covered her ears as Hinata yelled on the top of her lung to prevent her eardrum busted. I never knew Hinata could shout that hard, she even added the language, whoever thought of that. Meanwhile, Naruto and Sakura was having fun on their date when they suddenly stopped and looking toward where the yell was coming from. What was that? I thought Hinata was yelling and cursing earlier, said Naruto. I don't know about that and I don't care. Sakura shrugged before she looked at Naruto with a sly smile. So, where were we? I believe we were right here. Let's leave Naruto and Sakura having fun on their date and let's look on Hinata, shall we? Back at Yamanaka residence, Hinata was perfectly imitated fish out of water as her mouth was gaping and closing. She didn't believe what she had heard earlier. Her Naruto-kun. That pink-haired bitch. We're dating. What the? How in blazing hell I never heard about my Naruto-kun was dating with that girl. Ino looked at Hinata incredulously. How do you didn't know they were dating for 2 months? Everyone in Konoha was practically talking about them everywhere. The blonde then showed a page of her magazine to the heiress. Look here, Naruto and Sakura was placed in the first place for the most romantic couple in Konoha for 2 months straight. Ino swore Hinata's eyes were about to bust out of their sockets when she heard that and her breath was hitched while she bit back curse, but failed big time. No. Were you living inside a cave all this time? And since when you curse? Hinata only glared at her, making the blonde flinched and sat straighter on her chair. The Hyuga heiress then stood up as she walked to the door. Thank you for your information, Ino-san. If you will excuse me, I have something else to do. As Hinata left the flower shop, Ino could only watch her with a calculating look on her face. This isn't good. Hinata is jealous and she also seemed to be very obsessive of Naruto. I better tell the KKA about this. With a quick call to her mother, Ino then left to the Hokage tower. Hinata practically stomped the ground with each of her steps while leaking of murderous ki, scaring the villagers shitless as she passed by. There was a look of possessiveness, jealousy, fury, rage, etc. on her lavender eyes. How dare that bitch takes what is rightfully mine, Naruto-kun, I will make her pay, yes I will. I will break them up and claim Naruto-kun as mine. Naruto-kun is always mine. As she finished her thoughts, Hinata let out a dark and bitter chuckle before it blew up into a full evil laugh that would made Orochimaru and Madara begged on their knees to ask her to teach that laugh to them. The villagers all around her all scooted away from the yandere heiress. Why are you laughing like that, Hinata? The blue-haired girl turned around to see her teammate Kiba with his Ninken partner Akamaru. A lamp turned on inside her head. Ah, Kiba-kun. Just the person I needed. You don't mind to spar with me, do you? After all I need to release some steam, she asked to the dog boy sweetly. In fact it was way too sweet that sent the shiver of fear to everyone in vicinity. Save for the poor Kiba as he was totally smitten with her. In fact he was happy Hinata had asked him to spar with her. Of course. I would love to. Hinata. Let's go. May you rest in peace. Boy, all senior male thought is one in general. Akamaru followed his master with whimpers that could be translated as, I should start looking for a new master. While Hinata was about to massacre the poor unsuspecting Kiba, let's take a look on our lovely couple, shall we? Sakura leaned to her boyfriend's chest and sighed contentedly. She was happy. Very, very happy, so it became a big understatement. Never in her wildest dream would she find herself like this with Naruto out of all people. But now here she was, together with him, and as a newborn, only his bed sheet covered their body while their clothes were scattered carelessly on the floor, long forgotten. Sakura didn't give a damn about anyone or anything right now because she had him with her. She looked at the sapphire blue eyes of her lover that shared the same glow of happiness with her own emerald green, if not much stronger. His strong arms circled her lithe frame and pulled her closer to him. Sakura didn't even resist. She was too happy to resist him. Aishiteru, Sakura-chan, Naruto said as he kissed her pink hair. Aishiteru, Naruto-kun, Sakura replied as she snuggled to his chest and fell to a blissful slumber. In the Hokage Tower, there was a special room. No male species, humans or not, could enter this room by any means or even see it thanks to a special genjutsu plus a complex array of fuinjutsu. This room was the headquarters for Konoha Kunoichi Association, or KKA for short. This association was founded 2.5 years ago after Tsunade became the Godime Hokage. As its name said, the members of KKA was several kunoichi of Konoha, like Ino, Tenten, Anko, Kurenai, Shizune, Tsunade, Yugo, Sakura, Hanabi, Moegi, and lastly Temari as an honorary member since she was a Suna kunoichi technically, but she often came to Konoha and served as a liaison of the alliance between the villages. Weird enough, Hinata wasn't one of them. I wonder why. Today, Tsunade had called for an assembly right after Ino told her the news. All of KKA members, minus Sakura since she was busy, were already assembled in the HQ and sitting in the round table. My fellow sisters of Kunoichi, thank you for coming to this assembly in such short notice, the Godime Hokage said, opening the assembly. Our information bureau has told me distressing news for us all, which is as Orochimaru going straight. Damn, that's a bad news. Anko suddenly cut in. Are they finally banded cats in Konoha after Tora killed the daimyo? Why, when it happens after I plan for the Nekomimi party? Temari groaned as she banged her head in the table. Someone suggested for banning buying bondages from local shops. Why, I oughta kill Neji for this, Tenten muttered darkly as she brandished several sharp and serrated kunais on her hands. No, they are not going to kill all pigs in Konoha for the swine flu issue, are they? Shizune paled as she tightened her hug on Taunton the pet pig. The pig in question was turning to blue not in fear, but rather because its supply of oxygen was cut. Our Anbu force was banned using swords. I knew I should make those idiots listen to me for not using their sword to cut hot dogs. Yugo grumbled as she fingered the sword on her back. We didn't have any stock of fresh fish. No. All of those delicious sushi. Moegi hysterically yelled. Hanabi and Kurenai only shook their head and sighed, muttering under their breath something like, why I joined these morons. A vein popped on Tsunade's forehead as she watched the chaos before her. She then reached for the drastic measure and honk. The room went silent after that. Seeing everyone calm down, or rather the other kunoichi had their ears temporarily deafened, Tsunade put the air horn away and continued to talk. Thank you for your attention. Now, as I was saying, we have distressing issue on our hand. You see, Hinata had finally found out about our most lovely couple and she obviously didn't like it. Our information bureau even told me that she did something she never did before, she cursed. At that, Kurenai and Hanabi went paler than Sire Orochimaru could be. No way, Kurenai and Hanabi gasped. What's wrong, Nai-chan? Anko asked. She finally came out. That other Hinata, I never thought I would see her again, Kurenai said aghast. I've seen her once, me and my team was training back then. Kiba suddenly mocked and belittled Naruto out of blue, and then it happened, suddenly there was a massive ki pressed down on us, and Hinata then literally beat Kiba black and blue ferociously while spitting strings of curse at her teammate. I never see Hinata so scary like that, even Shino was hiding and shivering behind me at that time. Weirdly, Kiba didn't even remember Hinata almost killed him when he recovered. Me and Shino promised to never to talk about that accident, ever. The other kunoichi in the room listened to Kurenai's story until the end when suddenly Hanabi fell to the floor, curled up in fetal position while shivering and sucking her thumb. Hanabi-chan. What's wrong? Moegi asked, surprised to see her cool and indifferent friend turned up to be like this. It's CC came. TTT the SS scary. Oh Onisama. Hanabi said while stuttering even more than her sister should be, not moving 1 inch from her position. IIIEE experienced HH her CC cruelty FF first HH hand. IIIWW was SS sparing WW with her AA at TT that TTT time. TT then SS suddenly IIIHH have TT the III idea TT to RRR real HH her UU up BB by MMM mentioning NN Naruto san, BB but TTTT then SS she, SSS she. Hanabi was unable to finish her line as she broke down crying. Moegi tried to comfort her friend while the other kunoichi gulped in fear when they saw the perfect Hyuga kunoichi was crying like a baby. Damn, and I thought all Uchiha were mental, Enko commented while wiping the sweat off of her brow. Looks like we have a yandere kunoichi case in our hand. Let's just hope Hinata won't kill anyone, yet, Tenten said as she crossed her hand and sighed. Can I ask you a question? I know Hinata was uber crushing / uber obsessing to Naruto, but how big it really is? Temari asked. Good question. Hanabi, can you show us the result of your investigation? Tsunade said to Hanabi, only to find the said girl was still crying and curled up in fetal position. Oh fine, Shizune, can you take those files and showed it to us? Tsunade-sama. Where did Hanabi-san put her investigation files? Shizune asked. It WW was RRR right HH here. Hanabi gave Shizune some manila folders, while she was still curled up in fetal position. TT they HH have EE everything IIIH have LL learned AA and IIIHH have TT them CC copied FF for EE everyone. Thank you, Hanabi. Shizune then distributed the copies of what Hanabi had learned during her infiltration to Hinata's room. When all kunoichi read the file, they all nearly had a heart attack. They learned that Hinata had a shrine built for Naruto, hidden in her closet. It had Naruto's photos, handmade Naruto plushies in various size, and his orange jumpsuits, both the older one and the newer one, decorated with scented candles and flowers. They also learned that the seemingly innocent and demure heiress had several toys, for you know what, all colored in orange, and according to Hanabi, they scented like ramen, hidden in a secret compartment of her shrine. Whoa, was all that Temari could say. This is even worse than my old shrine I built for that Uchiha asshole, Ino commented. She gives the word of idolism, worshipping, and obsession to a whole new level, Tenten said as she placed the report in the table. At any rate, we should send one of us to tail her. Yugo, do you think you'll up for the job? Tsunade asked. Of course, Hokage-sama. Naruto-san deserves to be happy and some obsessive girl will not ruin his happiness, Yugo answered firmly. Very well then. This assembly is adjourned, the Godime said as she closed the assembly, but not before she reached for the air horn and honk. What was that for? Tsunade-sama. Shizune asked while she rubbed her sore ear, so did the other kunoichi. Just for the dramatic. Besides, this assembly actually starts with an air horn and ends with an air horn, Tsunade grinned at her first apprentice. Let's leave the KKA and take a look at a certain, devoted, red, obsessive heiress. Hinata entered her room after she took a refreshing bath after she earlier massacred a poor soul of a boy named Inazuka Kiba, still in a bathing robe. She felt better, but she was still peeved when she learned her Naruto-kun already dated that Haruno bitch. She cursed herself for being such nervous wreck of a girl back then, and of course she cursed Sakura for taking Naruto from her. She then walked to the secret Naruto shrine in her closet and sat in front of it. She had replaced the flowers earlier and relighted the scented candles. Naruto-kun, why did you choose that bitch over me? She asked to one of Naruto's photos in the shrine, possibly the main photo since it was the largest and the newest one. I have more to offer than that stinking wench could ever give to you, so why? Hinata knew that she was definitely not a bad looking for a girl. Silky long blue hair, lovely heart-shaped face, beautiful soft lavender eyes, long and shapely legs, and of course the biggest charm she had, Her DD sized. For a 16 years old teenager, Hinata was surely well developed on her chest department. Added with her demure and shy image thanks to her personality in public, she was a Yamato Nadeshiko to the male population of Konoha. She was silently gloating inside her head when other kunoichi in her inner circle, including Sakura, were envious of her. What does that bitch Haruno have and I don't? Hinata asked to the photo once again. She doesn't have big like I am and she has a short temper. She always hits you for something you didn't deserve at all and treated you like nothing when you were younger. Me on the other hand have always supported you and never wronged you, unlike her. I would do anything for you, Naruto-kun. So, why? The Hyuga heiress didn't understand the way her Naruto-kun thinking. Then again, she was talking about the most unpredictable ninja in Konoha if not the whole elemental country, so no one would ever expect what he will do, except a certain pink-haired kunoichi to an extent. She then came to a decision. I'll found it out what that pink-haired skank has and I don't. Then I'll use it to free you from her grasp, Naruto-kun. It's a promise, said Hinata determinedly as she gently wiped the glass surface of the photo. She then took one of the plushie from the shrine and headed to her bed before she discarded her bathing robe. As soon as she slipped under the blanket of her bed, Hinata fell to the dreamland where she dreamed she and her precious Naruto-kun were together after she crushed that bitch Haruno. Even in her sleep, Hinata let out that evil laugh from earlier today. What a weird and yandere girl she is. Skip to the next morning and to our favorite lovely couple, shall we? Naruto woke up when he noticed the lack of warmth on his chest. He then looked around for his girlfriend only to find her missing and their clothes were neatly folded on the side of the bed. Smelling something good coming from his kitchen, Naruto put on his boxers and he decided to take a look. There he found Sakura, wearing nothing but a buttoned shirt, one of his he presumed since it was big enough to be a dress on her, cooking breakfast for him. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Are you hungry? Breakfast will be ready soon, the pink-haired girl greeted to her lover. Naruto smiled at her in response. He then walked to her and put his arm around her waist and kissed her neck. Good morning, Sakura-chan. Can I request how my breakfast is served? He asked huskily. Unfortunately, I only serve the breakfast in the normal way, Sakura answered and giggled as she saw in the corner of her eyes her lover was pouting. Ah, no fair. Can't I get anything else after what I did yesterday and last night? I'm cooking the breakfast for you, right? So sit down and enjoy it, Sakura scolded mockingly before a teasing grin appeared in her face. Boot. I think I need help in the shower later. Care to join me? She got her answer when Naruto kissed her fully on the lips and gently massaged her sides. He licked her lips, asking for entrance and she opened her lips as they battled for dominance. It only lasted for a minute as Sakura broke off from the kiss. We can continue later, Naruto-kun. You don't want your breakfast to be burned, do you? Said Sakura with a teasing tone. I'm going to hold you on that, Sakura-chan, Naruto replied as he blew Sakura's ear, causing the pink-haired girl to shiver in delight. The young couple ate their breakfast in comfortable silence for about 15 minutes before they headed to the bathroom where they took shower and something else. An hour later, Naruto and Sakura exited the Jinchuriki's apartment looking fresh and new. They walked hand in hand as they headed somewhere in the village to spend their time together as they had a full week free of mission. Unknown to them, the owner of a pair of lavender eyes burning with jealousy and possessiveness was following every of their movement. Hidden in the shadows was Hinata, who had followed her Naruto sense to determine the location of her Naruto-kun and she found him inside his apartment. Weird enough, something was jamming her Naruto sense when she was following him, but she managed to find him in the end. She credited it to the power of true love, red obsession. Don't forget everyone. She intended to follow the pair like she had decided last night. She'll going to find out what made that Haruno was so special in the eyes of her Naruto-kun. Just you wait, Haruno. I'm going to find out your secret and I'm going to use it to claim Naruto-kun as mine. Naruto-kun is always mine. However, Hinata forgot about the most important rule in spying, or stalking in her case. Don't make any noise that could give away your position. She let out her evil laugh again, causing everyone in vicinity to look at her while edging away from her, including our lovely couple. Crap. The Hyuga heiress cursed as she realized her mistake. She then used a kawarimi to replace herself with an empty trash can. What was that? Asked Sakura. Dunno. Maybe a stalker or something, answered Naruto with a shrug. If Naruto just knew how right he was. In the central park of Konoha, we found our lovely couple was sitting in a bench under a tree. The warmth from sunshine and gentle breeze of the wind gave a very relaxing atmosphere for both Sakura and Naruto. This was what they need. No pedophilic gay snake, no traitorous Avenger wannabe bastard, no half-crazy delusional immortal moron, or no power-hungry warmonger bandage-faced old fart. Just them and their love to each other. Sakura turned from the shoulder of her boyfriend to look at him. His soulful blue eyes, his spiky golden blonde hair, his whisker-like markings on his cheek, his slightly tanned skin, and his bright and warm smile. The apprentice of Tsunade wondered how the heck she dismissed him like nothing when that bastard was here. A part of her still felt guilty after how she treated him when they was younger, and she still felt that she didn't deserve all of the wonderful things he had given to her. Naruto may be dense and clueless to many things, but he had a kind of sixth sense when it came to his beautiful Sakura-chan. He noticed her mood dropped a bit and he instantly knew what was wrong. You're still thinking about that? He asked gently. Sakura sighed and shifted slightly on her place. Yeah, I still feel undeserving to everything you give to me, Naruto-kun. It's not like I'm not appreciating any of it, but after what I did to you when we were younger. Naruto smiled as he encircled his arms around her and pulled her closer to him. We can't change what happened in the past, Sakura-chan, but we can always shape the future to our liking. Gone her fears and doubts as her lover said those words to her. It was so simple and cheesy, but yet it was so strong and convincing. Sakura put her own hands on his as she closed her eyes and smiled. Thank you, Naruto-kun. From her hiding place behind the leaves of another nearby tree, Hinata's lavender eyes were burning with so much jealousy, anger, fury, possessiveness, etc. she could muster, and she was trying her damnedest to hide her potent killer intent. She wanted to hurl, she wanted to scream, and most importantly, she wanted to seriously hurt that pink-haired bitch. But not right now. She still needed to learn what her secrets were so that our yandere heiress can use to free her fated one. And then, she can put that Haruno bitch to her place. Not wanting to repeat her mistake earlier, Hinata let out her evil laugh inside her head. Plain weird, the blue-haired girl then continued her stalking, spying. Sakura-chan, can you stand up? Naruto requested as he released the embrace. What is it, Naruto? Sakura asked back to him, as she was confused by his request. I want to admire my Sakura-chan more, Naruto answered honestly. Sakura smiled and nodded as she complied to her boyfriend's request. She stood up in front of him and she even spun around in her place. She then put one hand in her back and one finger on her cheek. Basically, she put the same pose when she asked to Naruto, do I look more womanly now? As she asked to him. So, how do I look, Naruto-kun? You look like a seriously badass and kunoichi, Sakura-chan, answered Naruto with his foxy grin, much to Sakura's blush and Hinata's twitching eyebrow. He then stood up and looked directly to her eyes. The way you dressed improved your image as a strong kunoichi, not to mention you looked so in that. Sakura's blush deepened. Naruto really knew so much about her. She wanted to be viewed as a strong and independent kunoichi after she was taken under Tsunade's wing as her apprentice when Naruto had returned from his training. Also, she wanted to be seen as his equal, not a girl that hid behind the back of her teammate. That's why she chose her new set of clothing. And now that Naruto called her in that, she didn't expect that kind of compliment. In her hiding place, Hinata looked down to her choice of clothing and she frowned. Sure, she had a great body and big, but her baggy jacket hid almost everything and her pants were often too loose for her taste. Once again, Hinata cursed herself for being such a shy wallflower girl. She then added, new choice of clothes, to her, how to snag my Naruto-kun from manipulative pink-haired bitch. I love your hair when they were longer, said Naruto as he gently combed Sakura's pink hair, reference to her name. Why you don't let them grow? I actually let them grow when Tsunade Shisho trained me, answered Sakura. Do you want me to let my hair grow longer? No, keep them short since you look hot with them, said Naruto. The blush on Sakura's face returned with vengeance. Now she really believed that Jiraiya had not only taught Naruto in the art of shinobi, which was a good thing since her boyfriend didn't take after his teacher's tendencies to peek on hot spring. Hinata meanwhile was debating to cut her hair short or not. She loved her long hair and she's sure that her Naruto-kun would love them too. It took her so much effort to take care of them and now her Naruto-kun just admitted to that Haruno bitch that she looked hot with her short hair. Was it worth to cut her long hair for her Naruto-kun's love? The yandere heiress then concluded that everything was worth for her Naruto-kun's love, so she decided to cut her hair short like when she was younger. Will you say it again, Naruto-kun? Will you say anything about my forehead? Sakura asked. Naruto smiled at her and complied. You have a beautiful forehead that makes me want to kiss it, Sakura-chan. He then kissed his lover's so-called flaw to put more emphasis to his word. Sakura was beaming happily at Naruto. She had learned the truth about Sasuke, who had complimented her in the bench that day when they became Team 7 was actually Naruto in hench. Weird enough back then, in the back of her head she knew it was something that her blonde-haired fool would say. Aishiteru, Naruto-kun, said Sakura as she pulled her lover to a loving embrace. Aishiteru, Sakura-chan, replied Naruto as he returned her embrace. Hinata looked at the scene before her with anger and jealousy boiling inside her and she had to restrain herself to not bolt out from her hiding place and hit that bitch with her Juken strike. That would make her Naruto-kun hated her if she did it in front of him. She already had the list of things that would make her Naruto-kun fall for her and discarded that bitch like a trash before she discarded him, but she didn't feel the things she had learned from her stalking, spying, were enough. So she stayed and continued her style. Spying damn it. Our lovely couple sat on the bench while they were holding hands and Sakura leaned to Naruto's left shoulder, like they did earlier. The pink-haired girl sighed contently as she asked not to anyone particular. What did I do so I got myself someone as caring as you for my boyfriend, Naruto-kun? Naruto smiled and kissed her hair. Many things. You straightened me when I did something stupid, you told me what is wrong and what is right, and you are the reason why I fought so hard so I can you smile and happy. More importantly, you are what you are Sakura-chan. Sakura looked at Naruto confusedly while the blonde Jinchuriki chuckled at her reaction. Let's just say I'm attracted to a strong and independent woman. You also like to speak your mind out and always tried your best to be an equal teammate to me. That's why I love you so much, Sakura-chan. Don't ever change, okay? Sakura smiled in response and snuggled closer to her boyfriend. Only if you never change, Naruto-kun. In her hiding place, Hinata smiled twistedly as she now got everything she needed to win her Naruto-kun's heart. The yandere then moved away carefully from her hiding place, but because she was daydreaming about finally winning her Naruto-kun's heart and beating Sakura down to the ground, she slipped her footing. Hinata let out a surprised yelp and the result, she fell to the ground on her back. Mind you that the tree where she was hiding is about 7 to 8 meters and half tall and the ground where she had fallen had pavement covered them. You can imagine what she felt, right? Naruto and Sakura were surprised when they heard someone fell from a tree and they were surprised even more when they saw it was Hinata. Hinata, what is she doing here? Asked Sakura mentally. The lavender-eyed heiress moaned in pain as she tried to stand up. When she finally regained her bearings, her eyes widened to see her object of affection. Do I have to remind you about this? Read. Obsession was standing in front of her with Sakura next to him. NNN Naruto-kun. She yelled, half surprised, half fearful. Hey, Hinata, what are you doing here? Why did you fell from a tree? Asked Naruto. Hinata panicked to no end right now. Thanks to her carelessness, now she was caught red-handed when she was spying Naruto and Sakura. She just can't tell the truth to them, can she? Look, a flying pig. She then pointed randomly to the distance, hoping it would buy her some time to escape. Naruto and Sakura turned around to what Hinata had pointed and miracle happened as they saw someone or something was flying through the air. Huh, what was that? Asked Sakura while Hinata had bolted away from the scene. Naruto scrutinized his eyes to get a better look on who or what was flying through the air. Oh, that's Ero Sennin. Ba-chan must be caught him peeping on the hot spring again. He then turned around to question Hinata again only to find the heiress was already gone. Huh, where's Hinata? Sakura followed her lover's gaze and she saw that the blue-haired girl was missing. She couldn't help but had this nagging feeling on her mind. Was she stalking on us? Naruto saw the thoughtful expression on Sakura's face and he asked to her. Is something wrong, Sakura-chan? It's nothing, answered Sakura before she sat on the bench and motioned to her lap. Do you want to lay down here, Naruto-kun? Of course, answered Naruto as he lay down his head on Sakura's lap and the rest of his body on the bench. Sakura gently combed Naruto's golden locks as she smiled softly at him. Gone that earlier nagging feeling from her mind. Only her love, affection, and devotion for the boy on her lap remained. Aishiteru, Naruto-kun. Aishiteru, Sakura-chan. While the fluff for our lovely couple continues, let's have a look on our stalker. Stupid, 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 stupid. Hinata repeated that curse inside her mind. How come she slipped on a branch and ended up revealing herself unwillingly to them? Not to mention the pain on her back. But look on the bright side, now she had everything she needed to win her Naruto-kun's heart and she will use it to take what was rightfully hers. Soon, Naruto-kun. Soon we will be together as the fate says. Nothing will able to separate us anymore and definitely not that pink-haired bitch. Again, our yandere heiress let out dark chuckle before it exploded into her evil laugh, causing nearby villagers to edge away from the seemingly insane girl. Her laughter was cut short when she felt sharp pain on her back. Ow, maybe I should stop laugh like that again for a while, and have my back looked by a doctor. With that in mind, Hinata headed to Konoha Hospital to have her back treated before she prepared everything to reclaim her Naruto-kun. The place she had to visit after the hospital, a clothing shop and a salon. And it seems Hinata didn't learn anything about daydreaming while doing something else. She was imagining on how she and her Naruto-kun doing fluffs and fun stuffs together when she suddenly tripped over nothing and fell flat on her face. This isn't really my day, Hinata groaned before she pushed herself from the ground and keep on walking. The next day after Hinata stalked Naruto and Sakura, she had started her plan to break up Naruto and Sakura and claim Naruto as hers. She could start yesterday right after the stalking moment, but the pain on her back made her delayed her plan. Now she had a new set outfit in her shopping bag, consisted of a navy blue halter top over a black skin-tight shirt with light blue mini skirt over black tight shorts. Her new outfit also had a black legging that stopped just a little bit over her shorts and a pair of lavender arm warmers. Her next stop was a salon where she would get her new haircut. On the way there, she spotted her beloved Naruto-kun. Alone. Without that pink-haired bitch anywhere in sight. He was carrying something inside a plastic bag in his hand, but Hinata paid less attention to that as she was focusing on the blonde Jinchuriki. Clearing her throat, the lavender-eyed girl approached her object of affection. It was obsession, in case you forgot. Good morning, Naruto-kun, she greeted sweetly. In fact, it was way too sweet. Oh, hey, Hinata. G-morning. Naruto, being as dense as a rock he was to almost everything, didn't catch the sweet tone in her greeting. What are you doing? I went shopping for a new set of clothes, replied Hinata. Say, Naruto-kun, do you want to hang around with me? Since your return, we barely got hang out together because of missions and other things. Naruto scratched the back of his head nervously. Well, to be honest, I'd love to. His partial answer made the yandere, not that Naruto knew it, beaming happily. But I'm sorry, I can't. Hinata looked like as if a thunder had struck her. Why you can't, Naruto-kun? I'm buying dango for Sakura-chan and I promised to her that I would be back soon. His reply made her disappointed, but at the same time her anger and jealousy to Sakura increased 10 folds. How dare she use Naruto-kun like a slave to satisfy her selfish needs? Does that think that Hyuga Hinata will stay still and watch her beloved Naruto-kun to suffer under her abusive acts? No way in hell. Hinata, are you okay? Hinata didn't realize that Naruto was waving his hand in front of her eyes since her mental rant. Blinking twice, the lavender-eyed girl returned to the land of reality. Yes, what is it, Naruto-kun? Are you alright? You spaced out earlier, and you seem angry for some reason, Naruto answered with a confused look in his face. Hinata gasped in surprise before she regained her composure and replied to him. Yes, I'm alright. But I slightly upset that I can't hang around with you, Naruto-kun. Quote, I'm sorry, but if you want to hang out with me, why don't you come to the new karaoke bar tonight? The others will come too, you know. Once again, the blue-haired girl was beaming happily at the invitation. She didn't mind with the others as long as she got to hang around with Naruto. Really? Thank you, Naruto-kun. Hinata then hugged the blonde, and while she was at it, she rubbed her DD cup to his body so that he could feel them. You're welcome, Naruto replied uneasily. He was feeling totally uncomfortable with Hinata's rubbing against him. It's not that he was embarrassed by her act, but he felt like he was betraying Sakura's trust. He then pushed her awkwardly before he straightened himself. I'll see you again at 7 p.m., okay? Okay. The blue-haired girl once again did something that caught Naruto off guard. She kissed him. Naruto looked at her dumbfounded as Hinata giggled and she left. As soon as she was far enough, he quickly wiped his lips with sleeve of his jacket. It felt so wrong to have Hinata kissed him. Not only because he already dated Sakura, but it just felt so wrong. He shook his head and headed to his apartment. As a good boyfriend, he can't let his beautiful Sakura-chan to wait any longer, can he? And now, let the time pass until it's almost time to go to the new karaoke bar. Hinata stood in front of the mirror in her room with her new clothes and her new short hair, the same style when she was 13 years old. She was so damn sure that she would make Naruto-kun fell for her and she would make that Haruno bitch ate her dust. Soon, Naruto-kun, very soon. You will be mine and not even Kami-sama could separate us. Hinata let out her evil laugh and it echoed in her dimly lit room. And if someone heard that, they could swear there was villain background music accompanied her laugh, you know, the same music that accompanied Plankton when he laughs in SpongeBob SquarePants. She exited her room and walked out of the Hyuga compound, not noticing 3 pairs of lavender eyes was following her retreating figure. You two know what to do, right? Asked Hiyashi to his second daughter and his nephew. Yeah, we have to interfere Oni-sama when she makes a move to Naruto-san. I just hope I'll survive this and enjoy my reward, answered Hanabi with a sigh. She still remember the pain when Hinata went all yandere to her and she won't break down right now since it will took a long time for her to recover from the breakdown. Do not worry Hanabi-sama, you won't be alone on this. The rest of Konoha 11 will help you, Neji assured her. Although he put a strong front, Neji was scared shitless to the yandere Hinata, especially when he heard her evil laugh plus the evil music background. But Tenten's persuasion made him to put aside his fear or he would face his girlfriend's wrath, which was more scary than the half-psycho Hinata. Very well, go on you two. You two must leave soon, especially you Neji. You don't want to make your girlfriend to wait, do you? Said Hiyashi. Neji shivered at that. You don't have to remind me, Hiyashi-sama. As the two left to follow Hinata and join their friends, Hiyashi couldn't help but sigh. Her eldest daughter was too much reminding him of his departed wife. Kami bless her soul. The stalker tendency, the yandere-ness, the evil laugh, Hinata was really the carbon copy of Hyuga Shizuka. And it seems that history had a weird sense of humor. In her youth, Shizuka was known to have a massive crush to Namikaze Minato, bordering to possessiveness. When she heard that Minato was dating Uzumaki Kushina, she went yandere. It took some very hard convincing from the clan so that Shizuka didn't get arrested when she openly attacked Kushina. The current Hyuga clan head just hoped that history really didn't have to repeat itself or he could expect a heavy migraine in the near future. Let's leave Hiyashi alone and let's take a look at Konoha 11 shall we? Konoha 11 along with Sai, Tamari, Konohamaru's team, and Hanabi was already waiting for the rest of them who didn't arrive yet. Minus Kiba since he was still hospitalized for unknown reason. Refer to Chapter 1, please, in front of the newly opened karaoke bar, Mugen no Frontier. Weird name for a karaoke bar, but pretty cool. A moment later, Naruto and Sakura walked to the scene hand in hand. Hey guys, sorry we're late, said Naruto. He was wearing plain black t-shirt and one of his many orange pants. We're not late, Naruto-kun. We arrived just in time, replied Sakura. She was wearing a dress that's similar like the one she wore during her first Chunin exam and forest green shorts. Really? Asked the blonde. Then why did you told me to hurry? Can't a girl enjoy a walk with her boyfriend? Sakura gave him a mock pout in response. Naruto smiled and kissed her hair. Their friends watched the scene with smiles on their face. They looked so good together. The only person that didn't share the same thought was the one who hid behind a pole nearby. Who else was it if it wasn't our yandere heiress Hinata? The lavender-eyed girl scowled at the romantic moment between the couple. It should be her in the place of that bitch, damn it. Looks like everyone's here. Let's go, said Ino enthusiastically. Hold on, there was someone didn't arrived yet, said Naruto. Kiba-kun is hospitalized. Naruto-kun. Who is that person we're waiting for? Asked Sai. I believe that person is hiding behind that pole over there. Isn't that correct, Hinata Dono? Stated Shino. Hinata let out a surprised gasp when Shino found her. The blue-haired girl walked out nervously from behind the pole, but upon seeing her Naruto-kun, her figure straightened and a confident smile appeared in her face. Good evening, everyone, she greeted. Oh, hey Hinata. Glad you joined us. Come on, everyone's waiting, said Naruto, not noticing Hinata's new look. Unlike him, anyone else, save for Neji and Hanabi, since they already saw that on the Hyuga compound earlier, noticed Hinata's change, especially Sakura. The pink-haired girl didn't look happy with her new appearance, but thank God her boyfriend was as dense as a rock to almost everything. Wait a moment, Naruto-kun. Do you notice anything different with me? She asked, desperately hoping that Naruto would notice her not so subtle change, since it looked like her object of affection didn't notice that. Huh, there was something different with you, Hinata. And cue the imaginary thunder of utter surprise struck Hinata in her place as Naruto said those words. He didn't notice her change at all. Her new clothes and her not-so-new haircut. For the love of Kami-sama, was he really that dense or just acting up? Was everything she did to get his attention was not? As they entered the karaoke bar, Sakura couldn't help to not giggle at Hinata's misery. Sure, Hinata could try to take Naruto away from her, but she highly doubted that Hinata would succeed, whatever her plan was. Her giggle got a questioning look from Naruto. What is it, Sakura-chan? Asked her boyfriend. It's nothing, answered Sakura, and she kissed his whiskered cheek. Seeing Sakura kissed Naruto's cheek, the flame of obsession and determination in Hinata returned with vengeance. She would get her Naruto-kun, regardless of everything across her path. Inside the karaoke bar, Naruto and his friend was greeted by a waitress. She had long green hair and green eyes. Welcome to Mugen no Frontier Karaoke Bar. May I help you? Yeah, I've reserved a VIP room under the name of Uzumaki Naruto, replied Naruto. The waitress nodded in confirmation. I have been told by Kagaya-sama that Uzumaki Naruto had reserved a VIP room. Please follow me. Naruto and his friends were guided by the waitress to the VIP room. While on the way to the VIP room, Hinata tried to get closer with Naruto, tried being the keyword, but failed since Neji talked to him about training stuffs and the blue-haired girl was pretty much miffed with that. It didn't take a long time before the group arrived in their VIP room. It was a room with two L-shaped couch and a large round table on each couch. Between the two tables was a refrigerator with cool drinks and snacks inside, but of course they can also order some other drinks and foods by calling the waitress or waiter using the interphone. There were also a small stage with a flat-screen television and a small screen in front of the stage. If you ever need anything else, please do not hesitate to use the interphone. I hope you enjoy your time here. The waitress bowed and left the group for their devices after she closed the door. The group then sat in the couches and again, Hinata tried to sit next to Naruto and Sakura, only to have Temari and Shikamaru beaten her into it. She then tried to sit next to them, only to have Sai, Neji, Tenten, and Ino already beaten her, again. Since one couch could only fit for 8 people, Hinata had to sit in the other couch with Lee, Choji, Shino, Udon, Moegi, Konohamaru, and Hanabi. And again, Hinata was pretty much miffed with the fact that she couldn't sit next to her Naruto-kun. It looked like things weren't going to her favor. What she didn't knew that the rest of Konoha 11, minus Lee since he doesn't know to shut up, plus their comrade had pulled some strings so that Hinata won't sit next to Naruto, since they knew from the kunoichi of the group that the yandere heiress will do anything to break them up. Alright, let's get this going. Who's going to sing first? Asked Naruto. Yosh. I shall start this youthful night with a song that burns like my soul. Stated Lee. Lee, I know you're fired up with this, but you're not born to sing. Neji scolded. The pale-eyed boy and Tenten learned the fact Lee and Guy should never ever sing at all. Let's just say last time the youthful student-teacher duo sung, both Neji and Tenten went deaf for a week. I guess I'll sing first, said Ino as she stood up and walked to stage. Ino selected the song and the music began to play. It was a song called Again. I present this song for my best friend and her boyfriend. This is for you too, Sakura, Naruto, she added with a smile, which was returned by the couple. As the blonde girl began to sing, Naruto put his hand around Sakura and she responded by cuddling closer to him while everyone else cheered on Ino. Save for Hinata, who was busy glaring at Sakura, but the pink-haired girl paid no attention to her as she enjoyed her best friend's performance on the stage. When Ino finished with her song, the room burst into another waves of cheers and clapping hands. Ino stepped down from the small stage with a grin on her face. Okay, who's up next? One by one, the occupant of the room walked up on the stage and each of them had various results when they finished singing. There were cheers, Neji, Tenten, Moegi, Tamari, and Hanabi, laughs, Choji, Sai, Konohamaru, and Udon, and surprised looks, Shikamaru and Shino. It was then Hinata's turn to sing and she chose the song, Shouju S. While she was singing, she threw some suggestive winks to Naruto, much to Sakura's chagrin and Naruto's confused look. When Hinata finished with her song, she calmly walked back to her place with a smug look that directed to Sakura and only Sakura could see it. Let's see how you can top with that, Haruno, Hinata thought mentally. Sakura seemed to understand what Hinata was thinking. She looked at Naruto and kissed him on the cheek before she released herself from him and walked to the stage. She chose a song from the list and smiled as she picked up the microphone. I present this song to a precious boy, no, a precious man in my life. He had done so much for me and all I can do for him is to be like what this song represents, she said with a loving smile to Naruto as the music started, which he returned to her. What is the reason of my birth? Reason of my life, question of man. What he is, what he wants. Ima kimi ni mianai chikara ga osoi. Yutsumut namita kakushiteta. Do serba ika. Sor se wakarazuni. Asufaruto ni saku. Hana ni yuki kanjita. Itsumo kimi no soba ni iru yo. Dakara mo hatori yanai. Kimi ga michi ni mayoi toki wa. Boku ga sake o uruku yo. Tui sora koit. Bakura wa tobatatsu. Kido soko ni uru. Sor ga kimi no yumi. Ima kimi ni kanashimi yafuan osoi. Odo o tate kuzuru kokura o. Anyo pazuru no uni. Moto ni motozatera. Fushigi to sukoshi dake. Ukina e ni naru duru. Itsumo kimi no soba ni iru yo. Dakara mo hatori yanai. Kimi ga michi ni mayoi toki wa. Boku ga sake o uruku yo. Itsuka mata kimi ga igao o. Nakushi su ni natara. Itsu demo doko demo yond yo. An da yo bakura wa. Itsumo kimi no soba ni iru yo. Dakara mo hatori yanai. Kimi ga michi ni mayoi toki wa. Boku ga sake o uruku yo. Tui sora koit. Bakura wa tobatatsu. Kido soko ni uru. Sor ga kimi no yumi. The room broke into another cheer as Sakura finished her song. Of course, the one who cheered the loudest was Naruto. He walked to her and pulled into a hug with a broad grin on his face. You were really awesome, Sakura-chan. Thank you, Naruto-kun, Sakura replied as she rested her head into his shoulder. Hinata looked at the romantic scene between the couple with anger and jealousy were clearly reflected on her pale eyes. She clenched the green tea can in her hand so hard until it crumpled while growling lowly. Are you okay, Hinata-san? Asked Lee as he was the one who sat closest to her, and the most clueless one about the whole mess, not really, between Sakura, Naruto, and her. I'm fine, the heiress replied with low and dangerous tone. Naruto released Sakura from the hug and kissed her forehead. Hey, if you sing then I have to sing too, right? He asked with a grin. Only if you sing something good, retorted Sakura jokingly. She then sent a look to Hinata, who returned with a glare. The blonde walked to the stage and looked at the list while Sakura walked back to her seat. He found the right song and faced the group with the mic in his hand. I present this song to the girl, no, the woman I love. With all my feelings for you, Sakura-chan, the representation of my soul, Anima Rosa. Keizo Kiru Sabama no Uni. Ishin de Mezasu Aoi Umi e Yukuru Nara. Kana ni Doro to Hikori ni. Mabareta Abara Michi o Yukazu Sunda no ni. Sanaka ni wa Subasa wa Hayazu. Kono Ashi wa Matsur Sumazuki Sake wa Matanagai. Sor Demo Otoko Tachi wa Hitamuki ni Uruki Suzukuru. Kimi ga Koko ni Iru Kodo de Boku wa Kono Tabi no Sake o Shiru Duru. Ashimoto o Terashite Kururu Hikari no Uni Kageitaru. Kimi to Koko ni Iru Kodo o Boku wa Soro I to Yandi no Kai. Kono Karada Kono Kokura Kimi o Zudo Mamoritai. Soba ni Iru. Awari maid. Naruto's friends were in awe as they watched him singing. The sheer emotions and feelings he put into his song were actually made them shivered. Hinata never knew her Naruto-kun had this side and he was so good at singing. Just looking at him now made her body really heated and her love, red, obsession increased 100 times fold, if it wasn't already at limit. Meanwhile, Sakura simply enjoyed her boyfriend's singing with a soft smile on her face. She already knew that Naruto was really good at singing because during their time together he would sometimes sing a song for her. Koyuki no Kesho no Uni. Yutsukushi Katacha no Mano Nanti Nozoma Nai. Mashitea Shimari no Warui. Naro Bakari no Mano Nara mo Nakudi. Karikiri to Haratsumadiru. Piano Sen no Uni Sunagaru Kodo o Nazan Daru. Keshite mi o Sorasazu Masagu ni Mitsume Suzukuru. Unmei no Kane ga Naru Sor wa Nani Iro o. Asu. Yoban Daru. Yorokobi mo Kanashimi mo Boku Tachi ni wa Arab Nai. Naraba Kimi no Namita ni mo Hohomi ni mo Hana o So Yu. Sono Kamochi Kido Washranai Boku Totomo ni Yakutsuke Yu. Hanasa Nai. Awari maid. Naruto suddenly stepped down from the stage and walked to Sakura. He held his hand out to her and she accepted it with a smile. They then walked to the stage where Naruto and Sakura kept their hand together and the blonde looked at his girlfriend with a tender and loving gaze as he continued to sing. Kimi ga Koko ni Iru Kodo de Boku wa Boku de Iru Imi o Shiran da. Hotobashiru Maka na Iju Boku no Inochi o Mayashitaru. Naruto then pulled Sakura closer and pressed his forehead to hers. The two lovers then sung together in harmony for the last part of the song. Kimi no Tame ni Boku wa Iru Kara. Kono Karada Kono Kokura Kimi o Zudo Mamoritai. Soba ni Iru. Awari maid. Hanasa Nai. As the song ended, the room exploded into the loudest cheer they ever had along with whistles and cat calls. Even the ever so silent Shino and the sloth of the laziest people on earth Shikamaru also clapped their hands. The only one who didn't cheer was Hinata. Her growl was unheard because of the cheers from the others. The green tea can in her hand crumpled even farther as her hand clenched it hard. Naruto and Sakura walked down from the stage to their seat with their friends were still cheering for them. That was amazing, Naruto. I don't know you can sing that good, said Temari. I think you should be a pop star rather than a ninja because you'll get famous in no time, Tenten joked. And those fangirls can face me before they do anything to you, replied Sakura, joking as well as she looked at her boyfriend. I prefer to be a normal ninja, thank you very much, replied Naruto before his friends left. Hinata only sighed as she sipped her green tea, the one with crumpled can as she looked at Naruto. Maybe tonight she failed to get her Naruto-kun, but at least she could spend time with him despite the interference and there was always next time. It wasn't like he and that Haruno had slept together anyway. And it seems Hinata didn't realize when she thought about that, Murphy's Law was kicking in. So, I heard an interesting rumor about you two, said Ino with a sly look. Both Naruto and Sakura stopped drinking their soda because they have this sinking feeling on their stomach when they heard Ino's tone and the look on her eyes. What rumor? Asked Tenten curiously. Please not that rumor. Sakura pleaded mentally as she had the very accurate guess on what Ino was about to say. There is this rumor saying that you two, Naruto and Sakura, have already, having. At instance, the room went silent and Hinata, who was in the middle of drinking her tea, choked on her drink and spurted them before she went into coughing fit. Was she heard that right? Her Naruto-kun. And the bitch. Already did that. No. There must be some kind of mistake. There's no way her Naruto-kun would do that with that bitch of all people. It must be a mistake. It must be. Both Naruto and Sakura blushed heavily as their dirtiest secret was let out. They looked at each other before they decided to confirm the rumor before it went wild. Well, the truth is, we already did it, Sakura answered with small and soft voice while blushing to no end. An imaginary thunder struck Hinata while the other girls squealed loudly and the other boys went wide-eyed. Save for Shino, since it was almost impossible to read his features, thanks to his hooded jacket and black glasses. Really? You two really did it? Asked an overexcited Ino. Yeah, we already have sleep together, Naruto confirmed with an uncharacteristic low voice. No doubt he was being very embarrassed. And another imaginary thunder struck Hinata as her object of obsession confirmed the scandalous rumor as the other girls squealed again and the other boys groaned. All right boys, pay up, said Tenten with gleeful expression on her face. Wait, you're betting on us? Asked Sakura incredulously. Since this rumor had started, the girls were betting on the rumor as true while the boys were betting on the rumor as a fraud, answered Tamari as she collected the money from the boys. Fine, but we got 30% of the share, replied Sakura. She was irked that her relationship's most embarrassing secret was used as betting matter. By the way, how often you two did it? Ino asked, as if it was a normal question. Sakura's face reddened not only in embarrassment, but also in anger. She would have her so-called best friend beaten into pulp if Naruto didn't hold her. Easy, Sakura-chan. You know Ino just teasing you, said Naruto, trying to calm his girlfriend down. Let her tease me so I can beat her up, yelled Sakura as she struggled to break free from her boyfriend. I take it quite often then? Ino inquired, making her best friend infuriated more, much to the blonde's laugh. After that shenanigan, the karaoke night went without a hitch as Naruto and his friends went for another round of singing. After 3 hours of singing, exchanging banters, and all the friendly stuff, the group bid goodnight each other before they went to their respective home, feeling happy that they were able to spend a good time together. Everyone save for a certain Hyuga Hinata. It shook her up really hard when she learned that Naruto and Sakura were already slept together. She was so lost and she didn't know what else to do. Naruto even didn't notice her changes. All she could do right now was going home and get some sleep, hoping it would help her to clear her mind. Neji and Hanabi watched Hinata from behind. After both Sakura and Naruto confirmed the rumor, Hinata went silent. So silent that made the two Hyuga youths wary. They exchanged worried glances before they looked at Hinata again. They both couldn't help but feeling that things will get really messy after this. The weather above Konoha was clear with the sun shined brightly, a perfect cheerful atmosphere for the villagers. Well, most of them. The atmosphere surrounding the Hyuga compound, however, was completely 180 compared to the rest of the village. The thick and dense aura of depression and gloominess made most of the pale-eyed clan, if not all of them, decided to leave the compound for the time being, including the ever so loyal and stern guards because they couldn't bear it at all. If someone dared to trace the source of this atmosphere, they would find it coming from the room of Hyuga Hinata, where most people will be fainted under the pressure of the dark atmosphere. To Hinata, everything was alike to an awfully horrible nightmare. Not only her dearly beloved Naruto-kun dated that bitch Haruno, they also even had slept together. It was a horrible and the worst nightmare of all she could ever imagine. But knowing that bitch, it was most likely that Sakura forced him to fulfill her needs. Imagining her Naruto-kun strapped in the bed bounded and gagged while Sakura was forcing ravaged him made Hinata shudder. Not only that, she also imagined Naruto was treated like a slave and abused by Sakura while all the public affection was a facade and used to keep her beloved blonde on the leash. She would not have her Naruto-kun to be treated like that. She will save her Naruto-kun, make him as hers, and no one will stop her, not that bitch Sakura or even Kami-sama herself. Getting up from her bed, Hinata dressed up in her new clothing, the same one she used to make Naruto noticed her, and walked out of her room for the first time after 3 days with determined, self-righteous fury, and very obsessed look on her pale eyes. In his apartment, Naruto jolted up from his bed as he felt a weird chill running down his spine. He suddenly got a feeling that something bad would happen today. His sudden movement waked Sakura, who was sleeping next to him. Rubbing her eyes, the pink-haired girl asked sleepily to her boyfriend. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? I feel a weird chill on the air, Naruto answered as he tried to suppress a shudder. Like, something really wrong and bad is going to happen today. Sakura looked at him for a second before she smiled at her boyfriend as she reached to him. I know something that can make you feel better, said Sakura as she leaned closer to Naruto's face. Knowing the look on her eyes, Naruto also leaned closer to Sakura. What do you have in mind, Sakura-chan? The pink-haired girl didn't say anything but smiled before she kissed him. Naruto immediately returned the kiss as their tongues battled for dominance, and the blonde Jinchuriki pushed down his girlfriend to the bed during the kiss and fondled her through the sheets while Sakura pushed the back of his head so she could taste him more. They broke up as their lung needed air after kissing for a good 5 minutes. You really are a sly vixen, Sakura-chan, said Naruto as he smiled at Sakura and brushed a stray hair from her face. It's because I am your vixen, Naruto-kun, Sakura replied as smiled back at him and gently stroked his whiskered cheek. What happened next between Naruto and Sakura was something that should be their little secret, so let's leave them be and skip forward to an hour later. Naruto and Sakura were walking together in the one of the street in Konoha, hands linked together, and Sakura was leaning to Naruto's shoulder. Still, even after their earlier activity, and that his girlfriend was leaning close to him, Naruto still felt something wrong and bad could happen any moment now. Naruto-kun, what's wrong? Sakura asked from his side. A storm is coming, Naruto muttered silently. Sakura raised her eyebrow warily as she listened to his reply. Never, and she meant never, that Uzumaki Naruto, aka the loudest people in Konoha, not counting Lee, Kiba, and Ino, ever gave a muttered reply. When he actually did, it would mean something is going to happen, and it wasn't a pleasant one. Before she could ask further, she heard voice calling to her boyfriend. There you are, Naruto-kun. I've been looking for you everywhere. Without any warning, the familiar form of Hyuga Hinata threw herself to the unsuspecting and surprised Naruto. The blue-haired girl giggled to herself and snuggled to his chest, much to Naruto's discomfort and Sakura's displeasure. Good morning, Hinata, Naruto greeted her, as he was being polite and hiding his discomfort. Good morning, Naruto-kun. Would you like to have some breakfast with me? I know a restaurant that serves a delicious food for breakfast, the heiress offered without releasing herself from Naruto. Thanks for the offer, Hinata, but I already have breakfast with Sakura-chan earlier, the whiskered blonde replied with a grin directed to Sakura. Despite her anger, Sakura found herself smiling at her boyfriend's grin. Hinata suddenly gasped as she pulled herself away from Naruto. Naruto-kun, are you alright? Does your stomach feel uneasy? Do you feel lightheaded? Do you feel like you want to throw up? The blonde blinked confusedly at her rapid questions. I'm alright, Hinata. Why did you ask? The heiress sighed as she placed a hand in her chest. Thank goodness. I thought you were sick after eating Sakura-san's cooking. The blue-haired girl then threw a look to Sakura, much to the latter's ire and twitching eyebrow. I was bad at cooking before I was dating Naruto-kun. Now I am proud to say that I am very good at cooking, and Naruto-kun enjoyed my cooking very much, Sakura retorted with a smirk at the last part. I see what you're planning to do, Hinata, but I won't let you to take Naruto-kun from me. Hinata hid a scowl as she glared at Sakura. Damn you, Haruno. I won't let Naruto-kun suffer any more from your tyranny. I will free my fated one. Unaware of the hostility between the two girls, or he just completely ignoring it, we'll never know, Naruto said to Sakura. Come on, Sakura-chan. Don't we want to have a spar today? Of course we do, Naruto-kun. I don't want my skill get rusty, replied Sakura. Hinata saw this as the chance she was waiting for, and she won't throw it away. Can I come along, Naruto-kun? I want to get a spar too. So, can I? To make sure her request to be fulfilled, Hinata used the weapon that many man dreaded, the puppy dog pout. Unable to resist it, Naruto gave in, much to Sakura's flaring temper. Okay, you can come with us. Beaming happily, Hinata once again glomped Naruto and snuggled him. Oh, thank you very much, Naruto-kun. I knew I can count on you. Naruto was squirming under Hinata's hug. Finally, Sakura had enough of Hinata's actions. Pulling Naruto rather forcefully from the blue-haired girl, Sakura then hugged Naruto's left arm and leaned to it. Can we go already? We don't have all the day long, said Sakura as she hugged Naruto's left arm tighter, giving Hinata the message. Don't try anything funny with my boyfriend in my watch. Hinata glared at Sakura as she gave her own message to the pink-haired girl. I'm going to free Naruto-kun and rub it on your face. As the two girls glared at each other and lightning danced between their eyes, Naruto could only blink in confusion. After 10 minutes of full tension walk later, Naruto and the girls arrived at the training ground. Sakura unlatched herself from her boyfriend and the blonde Jinchuriki spoke. Okay then, let's get started. Who wants to go first? Hinata looked at Sakura and Sakura looked back to her. Both of them had the same thought. Let's settle this here. Naruto-kun, me and Hinata will go first, Sakura said seriously, earning a confused look from her boyfriend. Besides, it's been a while since we last fought on the final part of the Chunin exam in Sunagaku 2 years ago, replied Hinata. Too bad it was a draw and none of us became a Chunin. Yeah, I admit it was a hard fight, added Sakura with a slight smile as she remembered the fight before her expression returned to serious again and she wore her black leather gloves over her hands. But that was 2 years ago and it will be different this time. I've become much stronger right now and I won't lose to you, Hinata. Hinata narrowed her pale eyes at Sakura as her Byakugan activated. We shall see, Sakura-san. The two girls walked to the center of the field as they glared at each other and slipped into their respective battle stance. There was silence for a minute before a leaf touched the ground and they dashed to each other. Hinata struck first with a palm thrust, but Sakura pivoted on her foot and punched the heiress only to have it dodged as well. The blue-haired girl then aimed for Sakura's chest, only to have Sakura swatted her arm and the pink-haired girl swung her fist quickly hitting Hinata right in the face. As she watched the heiress soaring because her attack, Sakura couldn't help but let out a smirk that widened as Hinata hit the ground. Serves her right for trying to steal my boyfriend. Hinata coughed as she tried to stand up. She saw Sakura smirking at her and she snapped. You think you've already win, Haruno? Not a chance. With a cry, the yandere girl charged at the Hokage's apprentice with all fury she could muster. She struck with her palms blazing with chakra rapidly, but Sakura weaved and dodged all of her attacks. The pink-haired girl saw an opening and struck with her fist, but Hinata managed to block her attack although she was pushed several meters backward. Hinata glowered at Sakura as she regained her stance. With a cry, she rushed at the pink-haired girl with flurry of palm strikes. What makes you think you deserve to be together with Naruto-kun? You who always hit him, you who always mocked him, you who always berated him, you who always hurt his feeling, you who always made him sad, you don't deserve Naruto-kun's love. Hinata rambled in frustration as she tried to hit on her nemesis. And what the heck makes you think that you deserve Naruto either? At least I'm not a girl who hides behind a pole just because she is afraid confessing her feeling to he boy she likes and stalks him every day whenever she can. Sakura shouted back as she nimbly dodged the yandere heiress attack. Say for yourself. You also stalked that emo duck head when you were his fangirl. Hinata yelled as her palm thrust deflected outward. Oh please. What makes you think that I would degrade to your level, you stutter mess? Sakura snorted as she punched Hinata, only to have her fist dodged sideways. In the sideline, Naruto could only blink in confusion as the spar between Sakura and Hinata turned into catfight. Strikes per strikes were traded, along with insults and stuffs like that. Maybe he should stop them, but he took that thought back because for his own health. He just hoped that it would end soon in Sakura's victory because he had a very bad feeling if Hinata won. Down already, you billboard brow. Ha. At least my forehead is a real deal compared to those fake of yours. I'll let you know that my babies are also a real deal and I'm sure Naruto-kun likes them, too. What makes you think Naruto-kun likes big anyway? Sakura's retort made Hinata froze. Was her Naruto-kun not interested in big like other men? She knew that Naruto-kun was different compared to the others, but did he really? Hinata's thought was cut short when she registered the pain on her cheek before she flew a good 10 meters in the air. She then crashed to the ground violently as she rolled a few times and stopped, creating a dust cloud. When it was cleared, Hinata already passed out with comical crossed eyes, eagle spread. Sakura watched her handiwork with a satisfied grin on her face. She straightened herself before she called out to her out-cold opponent. So just you know. An obsessed girl will never win against a devoted vixen. Sakura then turned around and walked happily to Naruto who was still didn't get the gist of what the heck was happening, but pretty much happy that his Sakura-chan won. Hey, Naruto-kun. Let's go training somewhere else, Sakura said as she stroked her boyfriend's whisker-marked cheeks. Where to, Sakura-chan? Naruto asked as he wrapped his hands around her waist. Somewhere private, the pink-haired girl cooed in answer. But we already did it earlier. The orange-clad shinobi whined, only to get his head bopped lightly. Baka, I did mean training. Sakura scolded him. Okay, I'm just joking. Come on, Sakura-chan, Naruto replied with a cheeky grin as he once again wrapped his hands around her waist. Sakura just smiled as she looked up to her boyfriend. Both of them disappeared from the training ground via Shunshin no Jutsu, leaving the poor unconscious Hinata forgotten. But not for a long time as Yugo appeared. She looked at the blue-haired girl and shook her head. Poor girl. You should really never get in their way, the purple-haired Anbu commented as she picked the unconscious girl up and left by Shunshin no Jutsu.